thank you so much for coming to the founder pitch. How's it going?
Yeah, great. Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
My pleasure having you. Please, if you want to give a short intro to yourself, and after go straight to pitch.
Yeah, sure. So I'm John Thornewill, CEO of Red Nought Limited, and here today to introduce you to our no-code gaming platform that we believe is going to make a fundamental change to the way that games are created in the future.
Let's go.
So essentially, the gaming industry has a $200 billion problem. Whilst there's over 3 billion gamers in the world, and it's the single biggest form of entertainment on the planet, less than 1% of the people, of those gamers, actually have the skills to create games. And this is leaving studios with a massive technical gap of needing experienced developers to help them build ever more complicated games. But then there are thousands of graduates leaving university with some capability, but not enough to go and immediately find roles in those organizations. So what we've done is we've built a revolutionary games development platform using a Lego-style modular architecture. We've deconstructed the complex mechanicals of building games into a series of interlocking components that anyone, regardless of technical background, can plug together to create commercial quality games. And this reduces development time by up to 90%. So Gartner is forecasting that the total no-code market is set to exceed $44 billion this year, with non-technical creators now outnumbering technically skilled creators by 4 to 1. And we sit at the intersection between this citizen development and global gaming. So current state of the business is we are validating our overall model in the hobbyist sector, but our roadmap scales directly into the indie and mid-market space. And ultimately, we want to be positioned as the entry-level funnel for the next generation of creators. We think this will, in time, make us a acquisition target for the big organizations, so people like Meta, Apple, or even Netflix, who are now getting into games, or the leading content generation platforms such as Roblox or Epic with their Fortnite games platform. So essentially, we're not just building games ourselves. Obviously, we do build games. We love building games ourselves, but essentially, we're building the engine for the other 99% of the world who are not technically skilled. So whilst the total addressable market for games is nearly $300 billion now, the service addressable market for indie developers is around 119 billion, but we want to segment that down further into around the sort of $6 billion market for game engine and no-code solution. And then very much initially targeting around $1.5 billion of that, where you've got the independent hobbyists and mobile first creators creating their first games and publishing them on things like Steam. So our business model is based around the idea of a free entry point, and then a premium subscription for our creators to be able to share their games and publish their games. And this is then augmented with asset packs that they buy from us. And these asset packs will contain in-game characters, music, sound, all those sort of things they need to build the games. So this means that those hobbyists basically get started for free, and then they pay a subscription when they're ready to sort of get more serious with the game engine. The assets themselves, some of them will be created by us, but we're starting to recruit asset creators. So essentially, we'll create our own coattails economy of asset creators that are building those assets, and basically they get paid every time somebody buys an asset from us. So, those creators also have a way of creating money. So in order to make it easy for us to get into game studios, we've built our platform to use a product called Unity, which is the world's most popular game engine, and we use that as our rendering platform. But what that means is that game studios that maybe have spent years creating assets that they use within their own Unity-based titles, they can import them relatively easily into our platform. So basically, we're making the process of migrating for a studio towards using our platform as easy as possible. And then down the line, we can also produce versions of this that work with Unreal Engine and Godot, who are the other sort of principal game engines. Now, one area of focus for us is actually with accessibility. And we believe we're globally unique in the fact is that games created using our platform are automatically optimized for disabled players. The game designer has to do nothing for this. The engine just does it for you. So we have features whereby, say, blind and visually impaired players are able to play games created for sighted players, but they can play them at the same speed and the same time to the same skill level by using the automatic features we have in the title to optimize that. And this puts us in a strong position for the future, because if Europe does introduce legislation that's being discussed to force games companies to implement accessibility, we'll be in a very strong position to say, well, we've solved those problems for you. The team behind the company there's 3 of us, and we've had decades of experience working together. So we've got Tim Ellis, CTO. Basically, he's worked with me for over 20 years, come through various different other companies, successful exit previously with me. And Rachel Barton, our COO, also handles our marketing side of things. Again, has also worked with me for over 15 years. So we're a very close-knit team. We know how to work with each other, and we're very comfortable working with each other. So we're currently projecting to reach 6.17 million in revenue in 2030, with an EBITDA of around 4.9 million. And to date, the business has been funded by a combination of founders bootstrapping, but also multiple Innovate UK grant wins. We're currently seeking 250k for 12.5% equity with a pre-money valuation of 2 million. And we have 100k of SEIS remaining available. Sadly, SEIS has been impacted by our Innovate UK grants, but we also have full EIS available. And we plan to probably do an additional raise in 2027 of around 500k, but that will be our seed fund. But this round we're looking to do at the moment represents our pre-seed. So hopefully that gives you a good flavour of who we are and what we're trying to achieve. I would be very, very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, John. Let me start. What's exactly the state of art today? Are you ready to go to market, or this pre-seed funding is more for completing the product and you'll go to market after?
Yeah, so we're just about to enter our public beta. We've been doing a private beta up to this point. So within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be in a public beta. And really that is to, again, evaluate the stability of the platform. We're using it to produce our own games internally, but we want to start to really establish ourselves there. We're looking to go to market properly around June, July this year, and that will be where commercial sales start. So we're in a beta stage at the moment.
How complicated is to create a game? I mean, what's the level? Can I create a game? I'm completely upset.
Yes, you could create a game. Essentially, what we've done with this is we've taken it down to these incredibly easy to use reusable components, and it's up to you as to how much detail you want to go in. So in its simplest format, you could go into our game creator. You would pick a scenery pack. So you'd say, I want to maybe pick the fantasy scenery pack. And you can press one button and it will stitch together all the environment for you. You could then take from our non-player character sets. You could pick an orc and a dwarf and a ghoul and a ghost. You could drop those into that game. You put your player in and you drop a lighting model which handles all the things like the ambience and fog and atmosphere. And you could press play. In its simplest format, you can create a game as simple as that. If you want to, you can go into more complexity. So you might want to have a story that you tell alongside that, which again, you would then be able to create, a narrative, and you drop that in. But everything is basically built from these incredibly simple components. And then it's up to you if you want to go into more complexity. So if you can use a PC, if you can use a Mac, if you can use a mouse, and you can drag and drop and use, if you could use, say, something like PowerPoint, you can build games with this. It's as simple as that.
What about after me? I can come, create my game, play, push the button, and creating the game. What about the stage after? Can from my understanding, I can publish the game on your platform. What about commercializing the game?
Yeah, so essentially, we're aiming to start with, for our creators, to have a free to share model. So basically, once they've created the games, they can share them with their friends. When they're ready, they apply to us and we'll do the build for them. Two reasons for doing that to start with. Eventually, when we're in a situation where a game studio is actually using this, they'll be able to build it completely themselves. It'll be totally self-contained. But we're very conscious at the moment, we want to make sure we maintain a reputation for the games that are created with the platform that are being commercially published of being of a high enough quality. So those creators will apply to us. And from that, assuming that we believe it's of a commercial sort of quality, and if it's not, we'll go back with feedback and we'll work with them. But at that point, when we do a build, they will be presented with a fully built game that they can publish on Steam or iOS, Android. That's the other benefit of using Unity, is that the actual rendering engine is Unity. So that means that if they could get themselves a publishing agreement with Sony or Nintendo or anybody that, these games will work on all those platforms. It's entirely up to them. But basically, we'll just do that initial build for them. And then if they want to work with us, we can put them in touch with people who are looking to do marketing. And we're evaluating some relationships with companies that do marketing for games to introduce them. But essentially, once that's done, that game is as built as any other game created using Unity and can be published, therefore, to any platform that Unity support, which is pretty much everything.
So what about your business model? How do you generate revenue?
So there'll be, the initial platform is free to use because platform things like Unity and Unreal are initially free to use. The subscription model comes in if you want to share those games that you create with your friends. There'll be a £10 per month subscription fee, but that also includes premium features like backup and diagnostic tools and all sorts of other things like that. So we get you going for free, but then the games creators that are serious will subscribe. And then it's basically through sales of asset packs. So we'll create some of the asset packs ourselves. So particularly we'll focus on gameplay elements of it. But we'll be working with asset creators that already create assets for Unity. So Unity themselves have their own asset store where there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who just create objects to go into games. And there's websites like TurboSquid. So essentially, those creators will be able to put those packs together, and then they will go onto our own internal asset pack store. And we sell those to games developers so they can use that stuff. Obviously, they can combine it with their own music if they want. But my experience is that most games creators tend to be very good at one thing. So they're either good at writing a story, or they're very good at maybe the graphics or creating the overall puzzles, but they can't do the other bits of it. So we make money basically by selling them the asset packs that they use. And the good thing for us is those asset creators, that we're not paying them to create this stuff. They're just creating these asset packs and they get paid when we get paid. But essentially we make money when we sleep. So those asset packs are there. They're available for people to download and buy. And we make money from those asset creators, and the asset creator makes money as well.
Starting, it's complicated, but it's not that complicated. If you have an idea and enough cash, in your case, you've been bootstrapping for a while, you get there. How do you intend to scale? Because scaling is by far the most complicated stuff for any startup.
Yeah, so for us, the scaling process is basically stepping up the value chain to having bigger and professional game studios using this platform. And the issue those guys will have is that they maybe have spent 10, 15 years creating assets and creating their own pipeline for producing games. So we have to prove to them that this stuff works. And that's why we're focusing on the hobby developer and then moving towards those sort of areas. But essentially, the platform itself, in order to use it, you download it to your own device. So we don't need huge infrastructure to run this. We're not running multiplayer services on this to start with. So it's more of a marketing question than a technology question, because so we don't need to have vast numbers of servers. This is not a generative AI platform, so we don't have the open AI problem. They need $1 trillion worth of hardware to scale this. Individual developers have their own PCs and they put this on Macs and they just put this on there. So the scaling is a marketing and a technological proof of concept. And the way in which we achieve that is by reaching out to those ground level developers and then pushing up into those other developers and proving the thing works.
I mean, unfortunately, we don't have so much time, but let me close with 2 more questions. The first one is 250K in pre-seed funding. This 250K, I'm not sure if I understood perfectly well. Are they going to be matched by any grants, or they are 250? And how long, for how long you will last? What's the burn rate today?
So the burn rate is around 18,000 per month. So up to now, we've been funded by say Innovate UK and obviously ourselves. So we've got other grants that we've applied for, but essentially that 250K that would take us through for about 18 months. And in the process then of doing that would take us to a point where we're starting to generate revenue. And then really to scale up, to scale up past the sort of hobby level of developer, that's where we're looking for the bigger amount, which is say 500K for next year.
Let me close with, if you can, I will give you 20 seconds. In these 20 seconds, what's your message to investors? Why they should invest in yourself? There are so many startups out there. It's unbelievable. The ratio between startup investors is incredibly unbalanced. Why investors should give the money to you or to your well-knowledge team for sure and experience, but what elevates you?
Yeah, so from our side, we believe that we're taking a fundamentally different approach to the way that no-code development works. Most no-code type solutions, all they do is they really just replicate code. You still need to know code. And even if you're vibe coding, you still need to know code to know that the stuff that's being created works or not. We've turned it upside down. And we believe that we're unique in that front. In the fact is that it's very simple. When the public beta opens up in a few weeks' time, I would simply say to your investors, download the tool, build yourself a game, get your kids to build you a game, let the product do the talking, download it, build your game, and then see whether you believe. Because every founder will sit here and say, my product's amazing, ours is. We believe our product does the talking. We think that is going to change the way games development works. And we are unique in the way that we approach games development. We're not just replacing code. We're approaching the way of building games from a completely different way.
As you say, less the product to talk at the beginning and not the revenue coming after. Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for coming to the Founder Pitch. And it's been an absolute pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.